Good evening, everybody. It is August 6th, 2021 at 7:48 p.m. What a day, as it is every day. If you hear noise in the background, our once in a while neighbors are up. I live in a touristy area, and the community I live in, there's only very few full timers. All the rest come up on weekends, holidays, or whatever. They're quite loud, annoying me. I don't want neighbors, damn it. Anyway, so today I brought Sean to work again because, like I said, his truck's in the shop. And then I got home and waited for the recruiting person or whatever for the animal hospital to call me. So while I was waiting for that, I went back on Indeed and filled out a few more applications and stuff and all that happy fun stuff to get a job. So 10:30 rolls around, Mary calls me, and she's like, "All right, are you ready for the second part of the interview?" I said, "As ready as I'll ever be." And she laughed. I mean, she's so sweet. She really is. I like her a whole lot. So she asked me all these questions, and so at the end of the interview, she goes, "I just want to say, I don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you stay so strong." She goes, "I was thinking a lot about you, how you lost your daughter." She goes, "I just cannot imagine." She goes, "It goes through my head every night." She goes, "I pray for you." Really? Cool. And so, I mean, it's nice to know, like, people you don't even know praying for you. And so she goes, so we were talking for a little bit about that. And then she goes, "Do you have any questions for me?" Uh, yeah, maybe just one. She's like, "What's that?" I said, "No, this is just between you, me, and not really so much part of the job." Well, I'm like, "It's part of the job, but not off the record." She's like, "What's that?" I said, "Now, do you do this with everybody? Like, go through all these questions and all these assessments and everything, and then they don't get the job?" She goes, "I go through the whole process to each step they do, and each one I feel they're a good candidate, they go on to the next level." And she's like, "But I'm pushing so hard for you to get this job. I really want you to get this job." She goes, "Because you deserve it." And she goes, "For all you went through, you deserve it." I'm like, "Thanks." I'm like, "You're not just telling me this, right?" And she's like, "No, I'm not just telling you this." So I said, "Thank you so much. I appreciate it." And she goes, "Not a problem. Have a great weekend." Blah, the blah, and blah. So I get off the phone with her. And so then I'm looking on Indeed again and reviewing the jobs I had put my resume into. And I looked at the ones that said viewed by employer, and I wrote them down and then wrote their phone numbers down because I figured I'd catch up and see if they look. Even though it says a viewed employer, I was wondering if they actually viewed it or just looked at the resume and put it aside. So the first place I chose to look was this little urgent care type place in Bangor, which is near my mom's. And I was like, you know what, let me call them because I was looking at it again. It's $14 to $16 an hour. And Monday through Friday, no weekends. I love it. Monday through Friday. Cool. So I picked up the phone. I'm just about to call them and ask them. Then my phone rings itself. I'm like, okay, who's calling me? So I answer it because it didn't say spam likely, because I will not answer a phone if it says spam likely. Or scam likely, not spam. I don't know why I just said that. And It was from another job I had literally just applied for this before I got the phone call from Mary. And they said, "Oh, we just got your resume. We were just wondering if you wanted to come in next week for an interview." Okay, cool. What day? And she goes, "What day is best for you?" I'm like, "I'm free anytime after 12 on Monday," because I figured I'll do the PVD, the truck place. Can't say it. My tongue's all twisted. I can always do it after that. And she's like, "Well, how's Tuesday at 10 sound?" I said, "That sounds great." I said, "Actually, you know what? I'm going to write it down as 9:45. This way, I'm like, I'll be there at 9:45 because I don't like to get there right at the time of the interview. I like to be a little early." She goes, "That's great." She goes, "That's very responsible of you." No, it's just common sense. You get there early for an interview. I mean, not an hour early, but you get there about 15 minutes early to do your interview. I mean, that's how I was raised anyway. So I did that, signed up for that. So then I'm like, you know what? I'm still gonna call this multi-care place. Okay, allergies, people. This is not fun. One more thing. So I called this multi-care place, and they said, "Look, we did get your resume. We just haven't gone over them. But you know what? When could you come in for an interview?" I said, "At any time." She's like, "Can you come in today at like 1:30?" And I looked at it to see what time it was, and it was 11:30. I said, "Yeah, I can do that. I just gotta hop in the shower and I'll be right down." She's like, "All right." So I get down there and I walk in, and I went in there at like 1:15, and I went in, didn't have to wear a mask, which was so nice. And I asked for Kelly, and she's like, "That's me." And I told her who I was, and she goes, "I'll be right with you. Just have a seat." I'm like, "Okay." So I have a seat, and she calls me like 10, not even 5, 10 minutes later, and she goes, "Come on back and we'll talk." Okay. And we sit down, and she's like, she goes, "I've been interviewing people for over 20 years. And she goes, "You're the first person who actually came 15 minutes early for an interview." She goes, "I really respect that." And I'm like, "Isn't that what you're supposed to do?" That's what I thought. And she's like, "Well," she goes, "usually that's the way it should be." She goes, "But I have people coming in that are either right on time of the interview, or just 2 minutes earlier, or sometimes even late." I'm like, "Why would you be late for an interview? This is your first impression to get a job, and you're going to be late? WTF?" Whatever. And so we were talking for a while, and then came that question I dread all the time now with interviews. And she's like, "Now, I see you haven't worked since March." She goes, "Is there a reason for that?" Here we go. How much time do you have, lady? So I explained to her everything. And she's like, "Wow. You are coming back this soon to find a job after having a stillborn? That you must be one strong woman." I smiled and said thank you. In my mind, I'm like, strong? I don't think so. I mean, I try to be, but I don't think strong is really the word, lady. Coping, maybe. God's strength helping me. The Scorpio's strong-willedness, who knows? But call me a strong woman, I would never consider that. It's called God's amazing faith in me. I don't know how I do it. I really don't know how I do it. Well, I know how I do it because I have God on my hands and in my heart and holding me every day. Because sometimes I wonder. So that was all fine and dandy. The interview went well. She's like, well, I do have to interview a few other people. She goes, but we'll be in touch. And she goes, do you have any professional references that I could call? Yeah. So once I said, how many did you want? She goes, 3. I'm like, okay. So once again, I gave Sarah, I gave Dot, and I also was like, you know what? I'll use AJ as well, who was my boss at the Sleek Wire. He was the owner and everything. And I gave her his phone number, their phone numbers and everything. She's like, all right, thank you. We'll be in touch. She goes, I do call and let people know whether they get it or not. She goes, I'll let you know. I'm like, all right, thank you. And it was a pretty good interview. I mean, the hours were beautiful. I mean, it was their Monday 9 to 3, Tuesday 9 to 5, Wednesday, Thursday 9 to 4, and then Friday 9 to 3. Perfect. And no weekends? Perfect. So, that was a fine dandy. Unfortunately, there's no health benefits with this job, which is really weird. You're at a medical office but don't offer benefits, but the pay is decent and I'll probably more than likely be able to afford the benefits. So that was all cool. And so I just as I'm leaving there, I get in the car and take my phone out because it was on silent, and there were a couple texts. One was from Dot saying, hey, I'm just letting you know Mary from the animal hospital called on your behalf to ask how you were as a worker, and I gave her nothing but great reviews for you. And she asked what one of your weaknesses was, and I told her, you have no weaknesses. Yeah, I do, but thanks for the great review. I appreciate it. And Sarah's like, texted me and told me that the other text was from Sarah saying, hey, she called me. I gave you a great review saying how reliable you were and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, she didn't say anything about weaknesses. Thank God, because Sarah knows my weaknesses. And believe me, I do have weaknesses. But I'm not telling anybody about them. Nah, I'll tell you guys. My weaknesses. Poor little baby doggies and kitties, sick and stuff like that. That's my weakness. And talking about my daughter is my weakness. But God has given me the strength to talk to all of you about her. About my beautiful angel baby. So I have an interview. So I had that interview. And after I got their texts, I called AJ to let him know that I used him as a reference. And he told me, he goes, you know you can use me anytime, not even worry about it. I'm like, yeah, you can tell him what a horrible employee I was. And he goes, yeah, exactly. You gotta understand, AJ, my boss at the Slate Quarry, was like a second dad to me. And he just was an awesome boss. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to give full time anymore, and that's why I left there to go over to the spa. But no, I would still be working for him. And unfortunately, the business will be closing soon, and that just kills me. I mean, that was the job that gave me my very first office experience. But anyway, that was that. So today, I was helping my mom take things out of her bedroom and bring them into their living room and stuff because they got a new bedroom set and everything. And then my mom said to me, you know, all of Marigold's clothes are still upstairs in your room. She goes, what do you want to do with them? Do you want to throw them out? No. Don't throw them out. She's like, well, you know, they are taking up a lot of room. I didn't want to throw them out because I told everybody they're yours, what you want to do. And that's when I was like, really? I didn't say to her, but I'm saying to you guys, I'm like, really? Why would you want to throw them out? It's only been a couple months. She's gone. You don't have to throw them out. What if I get pregnant again? But I was just like, no, just don't throw them out. So that kind of infuriated me later, but it is what it is. I just didn't want to be bothered the rest of the day there with her, so I couldn't wait to leave. Because I was so infuriated. Throw out those clothes. But it is what it is. I mean, what should I do? Should I throw them out? I don't know. Don't want to. Maybe I'll just bring them back to my house and keep them. But whatever. So today, my period was due. No period today. So, I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, I missed it today, so I must be pregnant. No, I'm going to give it a week and see what happens. I might even give it 2. I don't know. I'm just hoping and praying for positive results. Hoping for positive results for interviews, too. We'll see which one I get, or which ones I get, and then go from there, decide what's best for me. Still hoping for the animal hospital people. Just keep praying. Alright, guys. It's 8:04. I don't have to check my sugar for a while. I had cauliflower crust pizza, which it was okay. It was a little weird. Now there's a little bug flying around in my car. Must be Marigold playing tricks again. Everybody say hi to Marigold if she's around. Marigold. Or I'm just losing my mind. I very well could be too. Don't know. Alright, guys. Sorry it's a little bit of a... Oh, shit. It's a longer video. Never mind. Forget what I was going to say. Alright, guys. Well, be blessed, guys. I'm always praying for you guys. I love you guys. Have a great night. Peace.